days of violence in Manipur. More stories of horror unfold. Wife of freedom fighter burnt alive. Food and electricity cut off at strife-torn villages. Angry protest spill over to neighboring states. India today reaches areas no one else has. Manipur is burning. Our top focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
And that's our top focus right here on 6 p.m. Prime. I'm Nabila Jamal. It's been 80 days and counting. Manipur continues to burn. Many questions raised on the failure of governance along the northeastern state. Peace is far from achieved. We're still looking at violence, and India today has reached areas which no other channel has. I'm going to cut to the headlines first before I bring to you a special report on all the updates, Manipur. Parliament uproar. Prime Minister tears into the India alliance. India, the acronym, says Indian Mujahideen is misused. They also misuse the word India. So did East India Company. Congress hits back saying the Prime Minister is losing focus, speaking on East India Company instead of Manipur. Assam Rifles admits to illegal influx of 718 Myanmar refugees into strife-torn Manipur. Manipur government asks, how did intruders enter without documents? And big government counter against award Wapsi. Parliamentary panel warns undertaking from award recipients, saying they won't make awards political tools. Now you have the Congress versus Congress in Karnataka. 20 MLAs write to Chief Minister Siddaramaiah over ministers not responding to requests for funds. DK Shivkumar claims Operation Singapore conspiracy. And NSA's Ajit Doval holds key meeting with newly appointed China Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Doval says China to build strategic trust and says India is ready to work on border route. And amid the suspense over his disappearance from public eye, China removes Qin Yang as foreign minister, replaces by former foreign affairs spokesperson Wang Yi. He's been replaced. All right, 4 days of the monsoon session has been a complete washout in the parliament as opposition and the centre not willing to have a debate. While you have the big update now, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, says the centre has been waiting for a debate on Manipur, but it's the opposition running away from it. Here's the big news as Amit Shah says, government isn't afraid. We have nothing to really hide. People are watching you. We are ready for a debate. Opposition isn't. Listen in.
मैंने आज दोनों सदन के विपक्ष के नेता को पत्र लिखा है कि कितनी भी लंबी चर्चा के लिए मैं तैयार हूं। सरकार को कोई डर नहीं है। चर्चा जिसको करनी है मणिपुर पर वो चर्चा करने आए। हमें कुछ छुपाना नहीं है। हमने दोनों विपक्ष के नेताओं को मैंने आज पत्र लिखा है। मैं कहता हूं कि जनता आपको देख रही है। चुनाव में जाना है, जनता के खौफ को ध्यान में रखे और मणिपुर जैसे संवेदनशील इश्यू पर चर्चा के लिए उचित माहौल सदन में
All right, now close to 3 months of violence in Manipur, the government, only to achieve peace, had suspended internet services. And now the big development that's coming in, Manipur has partially restored its internet. So internet ban has been partially lifted. Only internet broadband has now been restored. Ban on mobile internet services continue in Manipur. We know that it's been over 83 days that violence still continues in parts of Manipur. At a time like this, the government has decided that they lift the partial ban. In fact, the government has now decided to restore broadband services while mobile internet services continue to be suspended. We know that Manipur in areas, many of those areas there have been completely cut off from normalcy. In fact, there's no food supplies, electricity has been cut off. And internet was something that's been fully banned for the last few months, ever since the violence began. But now in the latest and possibly in a positive move here, we're looking at a partial ban that's being lifted on internet services. Broadband has been restored in Manipur while the mobile internet services still remain suspended. Manipur continues to burn. We're looking at least 80 days that the violence has marred different parts of the northeastern states, and it raises certainly a lot of questions on the failure in governance. Clearly questions raised even in the parliament, and that's what's resulted in a logjam between the opposition parties as well as the ruling. The centre saying that Home Minister Amit Shah will address the problem, opposition demanding that Prime Minister Modi himself be part of the parliamentary proceedings addressing the matter. And now we see that some action taken in a positive direction when it comes to Manipur's internet services. That's really left life completely out of gear. Now we hear in the latest that Manipur broadband services has been restored now. Internet services on the phone, though, still remain suspended. This is the big update coming in Manipur. Of course, there's many lives that have been lost. The Meitei and Koki community clashes, the ethnic conflict still continues. We see that the Koki community had carried out a huge solidarity march earlier today, and it's spilled over now even to Mizoram. Neighbouring states also continue to protest on the situation within the northeastern region. What's happening in Manipur has really now jolted the conscience of people across India. Post that video that went viral of 2 girls being stripped naked and paraded before they were gang raped. You know, at this point, what we see in Manipur is highly unfortunate. 3 months on that this violence hasn't subsided. It's far from achieving peace anytime soon. But more importantly, as India today steps closer to the epicenter, goes to areas which has not been ventured by any other channel, we found out that there are nearly 32 children who were born in relief camps in different parts of Imphal in just the last 60 days. What's really their condition? Let's find out.
Hope in the midst of gloom. This relief center in Imphal, Manipur has become a godsend for women and children hit by the ethnic violence. The camp has seen 32 childbirths in the last 60 days.
From 21st May to 21st July, 32 children were born in the relief camp of Imphal, the youth hostel, which is operated by the BJP workers here. These women somehow managed to escape from the conflict area, which are Churachandpur, Bishnupur, Torbang, and all these places. It took more than 15-20 days for all of them to at least gather the information about the old pregnant woman. Now all you see, these innocent faces, there is a sense of fear, apprehensions, concern for the future of their children, as they have seen their houses burned, family members killed, and somehow they escaped while they were pregnant, not just saved their lives but also their child.
When they came here, they were traumatized because of this conflict situation that happened in this Manipur, and then they were like they have no hope because already their houses burned and their house has been break down. Because of that situation, they have been like, oh, we don't have any hopes. How can we survive in this future?
The children who escaped the clashes with their families are adapting to the new realities of life.
ये क्या है ये क्या है? हम खेलते हो इससे। और ये क्या है? क्या लिखा है इसके ऊपर? पेपर अच्छा इस पे काउंटिंग लिखा है 2 1 2 2 2 4 पढ़ो पढ़ के दिखाओ
1 2 3 4 2 3 6 2 4 8 2 5 10 2 6 2 8 2 7 14 2 8 16 2 9 18 2 10 20.
Who's this? Is this you? Is this you? No? You? Is this you? Who's this? Who's it?
The images of violence still haunt these victims. Many recount their harrowing experiences on India Today's cameras.
यहाँ में तो बहुत ख्याल रखता है, डॉक्टर भी रखता है, मेडिसिन सब कुछ यहाँ में फ्री में देता है और खाना वगैरह सब वो लोग ने देता है.
For these women, going back to their villages is a no-go for now. This camp remains their only shelter and hope. With Ashutosh Mishra in Imphal, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, what we know is Ashutosh right now is in an area where that village is entirely cut off. There's barely any food supply, and we believe that nearly 80 days that village is suffering. They have no electricity, barely any food supply. Churachandpur and Bishnupur, these are the epicenters where Ashutosh has reached out. In Imphal, northern part of Imphal, in Lima Kaong, where the Kuki and Metis community are at war with each other. Here is exactly where Ashutosh has reached. Nearly 29 villages, 20,000 people of the Kuki tribe have been left isolated in that mainland. This is the one and only channel that's ventured into this area that's tense and begging, almost crying for help. Have a look.
I'm here in Limchang area. This is West Imphal. Imagine one district where you have two community people, which is now divided by their community, has literally become a drawn line of control between them. This part where 29 villages, more than 20,000 people are now literally isolated from the mainland. These people need medical attention, they need food, they need everything that any human being requires, but for now it left totally isolated, no help reaching out to them. Even during the victim, they have lost several people, there have been injuries, but for now this part remain unnoticed. India Today is at ground in this part of Manipur to bring you the details and tell you the story how these people caught in the crossfire of the ethnic clashes and now needs a solution, needs a longer permanent solution. Because of the conflict, many of these people have left their homes. Women, children have gone to the safer places. And those who are left here struggling for survival. The reason is, now look at these houses. There's a very old lady who's living here with the family. Almost nothing left now. But the what makes it critical is they are running out of food. Now in this house, this is the only amount of rice which is left, and it is sowing season. Of course, they have to go to 12 hours to Churachandpur to bring. In other cases, usual days, just by going 3 to 4 kilometers in the near West Imphal district, there is a big market, and that have been the tradition. They have been sharing. They're going to sell their vegetables, bring the dry ration here. But as far as dry ration is concerned, what I see here, some amount of rice, which this family could barely survive for another 2 to 3 days. Only vegetables because they grow locally. That's all they have. And the moment you enter in the kitchen, all I see, this is the only vegetable that they have left, locally grown vegetable. And there I see the elder lady cooking some food in the chula. There is, so that explains the situation and the plight of the poor people who are caught in the crossfire. But as far as the situation is concerned, there are some people who would speak about the current crisis. There are how many such families who are still living in this village and several other villages around, and how are they surviving?
Actually, because of this conflict, this violence, around, I should say 60 to 70% of the households are struggling to get their livelihood. Most of them, I should say, are daily wage earner, and now they are finding it hard to get 2 days a meal even.
What is the name of this lady? I see only this amount of dry ration left.
Yes, they have only this much left, and their livelihood is very, very uncertain. This is also the contribution of some goodwill people from their neighbors.
All right, really tragic situation where almost 28 villages there in Manipur's Imphal who are completely isolated owing to this violence. Swati Maliwal, who's the DCW chief, the Delhi Women's Commission, after much of the delay, we see they finally landed. NCW and DCW have landed in Manipur. What has she found? Swati Maliwal, thank you very much for speaking to India Today. I'd like to ask you, you're at the epicenter. Would you firsthand give us information on what you've seen there? 2.5 months post the violence, how does Manipur look?
I've come from Delhi to see what is the condition of women in violence-affected Manipur. I went to Churachandpur yesterday, all alone, without any security. The government provided no support, and yet I went there to a place where firing was going on, and it was extremely sensitive and unsafe, just to meet the families of those 2 survivors. I met the mother of the gang rape victim, who had also lost her son as well as her husband. I also met the husband of the other survivor of sexual assault, and both of them told me that no one else except for me has approached them till now from the government, both from the central government as well as from the Manipuri government. I was the only sole person to reach them. First I have reached them. So I just want to know that why is it like that? Why is it that the Manipuri government, when I can come all the way from Delhi without any security, I can reach Churachandpur, why cannot the Chief Minister of Manipur with all his bulletproof cars as well as his bulletproof jacket reach Churachandpur? The other thing that the survivors told me, that till now they have not got any counseling, they've not got any legal aid, they've not been given any compensation, and they are living an extremely miserable life. So what kind of a state are we trying to build? It is really shameful. I also went to other relief camps. I went to Moirang, I went to relief camps in Imphal, and it's very unfortunate that the government is not supporting these relief camps, which are mostly being run by just local volunteers. These relief camps, women and girls, they're having a bad time there because just so many people are there. They are overcrowded. Hardly 2 meals are being provided there, that too with the help of volunteers. There is a shortage of medicines, there is a shortage of relief supply, and I think this is very, very, very unfortunate. Manipur is burning. Thousands of homes have been burnt down. There have been hundreds of people who are missing. There have been hundreds of people who have been killed. There is so much chaos and violence here. I really fail to understand that why the government of Manipur is not in action mode, and why the Chief Minister is not leaving the comfort of his house and visiting relief camps, visiting areas like Churachandpur and trying to help people.
You know, Swati, what we're seeing in Manipur is ghastly. More importantly, it's the women who are bearing the brunt of this kind of violence. Always the women who are at the forefront when it comes to situations like this. They're the ones who are the real targets. In the latest, we believe a freedom fighter's wife was burnt alive.
In both the communities, very, very horrific cases are coming. All these cases, including this case of this freedom fighter's wife being burnt alive, which I've also heard, and a few people came today and showed me a copy of the post-mortem report. It is horrific. She was the wife of a freedom fighter, and she was an 80-year-old woman. She was gutted to death. So the kind of horrific cases that are coming are really scary. I met another woman, she's a 70-year-old woman. I met her in Churachandpur, and she was just sleeping in her home peacefully, and right next to her there was her boy who was 25-year-old, and he's the only son of this lady. And the moment she got up, she realized that firing has started, and the boy woke up and the bullet hit him and he died on the spot. Right now, there is absolutely no one in her family, and no one is there to look after her, and the kind of torture and trauma that she's going through is really, really horrible. There's another woman who came to me from Torgam, Bangla, and this is a village, and she came to me in the place that I'm staying. She came all the way to meet me because I believe nobody has met her till now, and she informed me how her husband and his brother and another friend have been missing from 11th of May, and she suspects that they have died. She was crying inconsolably. And what do if the state, the Manipur government, fails to protect its people, and if the centre refuses to take the resignation of the Chief Minister of Manipur? How do you take things forward? I think the Prime Minister of this country needs to immediately come to Manipur, take stock of the situation, because people are very angry. People are very angry with the central government, people are very angry with the state government, and if the Prime Minister of the country comes here with his entire delegation of ministers, I think that things can be changed and we can try and build the Manipur that we all want, because it's a beautiful land, beautiful people, and it's very unfortunate that right now it is burning.
You know, it's unfortunate that there had to be a video that needed to go viral, as gory as two women being paraded naked, as inhuman as that, for the nation to stand up and take a close watch and condemn it, including the DCW and the NCW. Now, you're there only for the last 2 days, but the violence has been on over the last 3 months. A lot of cries for help have fallen on deaf ears. Why the delay in acting?
The National Commission for Women has failed the women of this country. There is absolutely no doubt about it. This horrific case of sexual violence that was reported from Manipur, the National Commission for Women had a complaint of it 38 days back, and they failed to take any cognizance on it. The Delhi Commission for Women, without any jurisdiction, without any powers, and I'm sorry to say without any security or protocol, enters this violence-torn region and is able to visit Chura Chandpur and is able to meet those survivors as well as survivors of other communities and various other camps much before the National Commission for Women. It's only when the Delhi Commission for Women came here and met everybody else has the National Commission for Women, I think probably out of embarrassment, finally decided to reach Manipur. I think it is really shameful, and I think that people in these positions of extreme power should be held accountable and they should be asked difficult questions. And I also want to know, is the National Commission for Women, because they have the power and the jurisdiction to do so, have they summoned the DGP of Manipur? Have they asked him hard questions? Have they summoned the Chief Minister of Manipur? Have they asked him hard questions? Because I really want to know, how many relief camps has the government of Manipur set up? What kind of facilities are being provided there? Whether the police has been acted against? Because you see, those girls who were sexually assaulted and paraded naked, they have said that the police handed them over to the mob. How many police officers have been acted against? And the Chief Minister of Manipur has said that there are hundreds of such cases that have happened in Manipur. So what action has been taken in each and every case? So I think that the commission in power has to ask hard questions instead of just acting in a very delayed manner, because then it is just construed as too little and too late.
All right, Swati, as you're there, I'd like to ask you, do you foresee peace in Manipur anytime soon? People there are crying for help, begging for peace. What do you think should happen with immediate effect?
My heart has really bled in these days because I always wanted to come to Manipur. It was a dream. I really always planned an itinerary where I wanted to visit this place and that place, and I was so excited that one day I will get a particular number of days in my life and I'll be able to visit Manipur. And I had never in my worst imagination thought that I will be entering Manipur in such a horrific time, where I'm just overwhelmed with the mind-numbing stories that I'm hearing. I'm crying, people are crying, but it's so unfortunate that a land which is so beautiful, I mean, everywhere you just see beauty around. It's Jannat. It's so beautiful, and the people are so nice and so welcoming, and yet it is so violence-torn. And I really think that it is a complete failure of the state government, because if they would have acted properly and timely, I really think that violence could have been prevented. And even now, no accountability has been set. The Chief Minister has not been asked to resign. The DGP has not been asked hard questions. The Prime Minister of the country is not coming to Manipur. The Union WCD Minister, the Home Minister of the country is not coming to Manipur. So Manipur is a beautiful land, very beautiful people, and most importantly, it's a part of India. These are Indian people. We have to come here, we have to support, and I also appeal to all the civil society organizations. Right now, the crisis in Manipur is really too big, and as much relief material that can be sent to Manipur will probably be less. So I appeal to the civil society to please come, please give as much relief, as much aid to all sections of society in Manipur so that Manipur can be built again.
All right, Swati Maliwal, thank you very much. Let's just hope that your presence, and now even the NCW has landed up, that this really motivates the government to crack down on those perpetrators. Justice should be given to those people who have been violated, more importantly, apart from, of course, restoring peace in the state. Thank you very much. All right, welcome back. We have some news coming in from Karnataka about rumblings within the Congress party. And here's the big news that we bring to you. 11 MLAs seem to be unhappy with the government of Karnataka. They're not happy with the way the government is functioning. Some of the MLAs have shot off a letter to Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. That's a letter that we've accessed, accusing cabinet ministers of high-handedness. Karnataka's cabinet ministers are being accused of arbitrarily acting on transfers without consulting with their MLAs, not giving funds to respective MLAs. Nearly 20 to 30 ministers, is what the letter says, are not responding to constituency works and calls by the MLAs. Now, this is what a letter that's now circulating says, that nearly 30 MLAs within, or 11 MLAs were upset with 30 cabinet ministers in the state of Karnataka. A Congress legislative meeting has also been called in on the 27th of July, and a few days from now. But let me cut across to Basuraj, the Congress MLA who's expressed unhappiness with the way the government is functioning.
Yes, definitely. Nearly about 30 senior legislators have written a letter to the Chief Minister to call a meeting of the Congress Legislature Party. There is nothing wrong in that. We have written that there are certain issues. We have elected recently, already 2 months is passed. We have to work hard for the people regarding that development issues and certain coordination. The coordination between the legislatures and MLAs. For that, we want to have a detailed discussion in the legislature party. Please call the meeting. We start. That's
All right, some more updates coming in, as it appears that one of their MLAs has taken a complete U-turn on the letter. You have B.R. Patil claiming that it's false. The letter itself is false. After some of the Congress MLAs' letter claiming government inaction has now gone viral, Congress MLA B.R. Patil claims they've only called for a legislators' meeting and that 20 ministers are not responding on funds is something that he says is not true. He says the letter itself is not written, therefore raising doubts on whether that letter is fake or not. Let me cut across to B.R. Patil, who takes a U-turn, justifying on the issues that now prevail within the Karnataka Congress, saying all is well. It's only a legislators' party meet that they've scheduled. There is no background to it. It's just a party gathering.
कौन लेटर जो लिखा है उसका बारे में आप कंप्लेंट करेंगे पुलिस क्या एक्शन पुलिस को कंप्लेंट दे रहा हूँ पुलिस कंप्लेंट दे रहा हूँ पुलिस कब देंगे सर नहीं कौन किसने किया है साजिश आपके हमारे खिलाफ बीजेपी वाले ने किया
I'm cutting to Nagarjun Dwarkanath, who is tracking all the developments in Karnataka. Nagarjun, what an embarrassment. One MLA says that we've written a letter to Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and we're unhappy with cabinet ministers. Another MLA comes out to say no letter like that. It's just a legislative party meeting. None of them are upset. What really is the fact on ground?
What we have picked up from our sources is that, yes, there are some disappointment among the MLAs in terms of how the ministers are working, while the MLAs claim that funds are not being released. And if third party interference work gets done, a middleman, if he interferes, then work gets done. So their own party MLAs have told the Chief Minister all these issues have to be sorted out in the legislative party meet, and AICC President Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge will also be present in the meet, is what we are told. So there is a platform for the MLAs to vent out their issues, problems, and point fingers at the ministers as to who they are issues with, and the Chief Minister can intervene and clarify. The U-turn by the Congress MLA, Mr. B.R. Patil, it seems like the High Command and the party top brass here has told him to retract his statement, because just 3 hours back when we all spoke to him, he never retracted. But now around 6 saying that it's a fake letter and he has to he's asking the police to investigate. However, there's another senior Congress MLA, Mr. Basavaraj Rayareddy, who's gone on record to India Today to say that 30 MLAs have written to the Chief Minister asking for a CLP meet so that they can talk about such issues in the meet as well.
All right. Well, you have one MLA saying unhappy, the other saying all is well. Clearly not all of them on the same page at this point. The Congress has come with a thumping majority in the state of Karnataka, but is all smooth in terms of its functioning. Questions being raised about the legislative party meeting that's been organized, with Mallikarjun Kharge now, we believe, flying down all the way from Delhi to Bengaluru only to be part of this meet. And that certainly says a lot. Thank you, Nagarjan, for joining us. A lot more on that as Congress calls for a legislative party meeting on 27th of July, with Mallikarjun Kharge going to be in attendance to oversee this legislative party meeting amid all that claims by DK Shivkumar that there is a larger conspiracy and a plan being hatched to destabilize the Karnataka Congress. Siddaramaiah, in fact, a few of the MLAs, we believe, have reached to Siddaramaiah. They've shot off a letter to him, as I mentioned earlier, claiming that they're not happy with their ministers. They're very unhappy. Ministers are not issuing funds, that a lot of transfers have happened arbitrarily, and this has led to a lot of confusion in terms of coordination in respective constituencies, Congress constituencies. Also, at the same time, you have Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar, who's alleged that there is Operation Singapore that's being carried out by BJP and the JDS. He claims, DK Shivkumar, that JDS, even though he hasn't really explicitly mentioned JDS here, but in a very coded message, DK Shivkumar said that he knows of some people who've flown all the way to Singapore only to hatch a plan against the Karnataka Congress government. JDS, on the other end, receiving the hint and responding to it, says that we have, with 18 MLAs, how can they possibly destabilize a government of the Congress that's won with a thumping majority, 135 seats? JDS also says, Deve Gowda has said today that they have no intentions to ally with anyone, not even with the BJP.
They're just working out some political strategy for their political benefit.
Will that work, sir? Because you clearly said
nothing will work. Nothing will work. It is not a pot when if it's to anyone to break it. It is a strong, stable government.
See, legislative party meeting now Karabidlo, Kalva Vara. ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರು ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಯಿತು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರೆದಿದ್ವಿ. ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬಂದು ಇನ್ನೂ 2 ತಿಂಗಳಾಗಿರೋದಷ್ಟೇ. ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಟಿವ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರಿಬೇಕು ಕರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇವರೇನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಟಿವ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Big government counter to the award wapsi culture that's now rampant across the country, when you have some people upset with the functionings or maybe with the government of today, they tend to return their awards, and this has become a constant affair. And in a bid to stop this, parliamentary panel has now suggested taking an undertaking from shortlisted candidates for Academy Awards beforehand, only to ensure that the return of awards is not used as an instrument of political protest. And noting that awards are apolitical, therefore, the return is disgraceful to the country. Parliamentary Standing Committee now, in its report, has suggested that awards by various literary and cultural bodies, like the Sahitya Academy, may not be given without such undertaking. And in an event that the award is returned, the awardee shall never be nominated or considered for an award ever in the future. All right, I'm going to wrap on this edition of 6 p.m. Prime. I'm going to leave you with the visuals here coming in from Noida of a bunch of vehicles stranded at the Noida Ecotech area due to rise in water levels in Hindon River. The Hindon River in Noida, a tributary of Yamuna, has witnessed dangerous rise of water levels. And this happened on the 24th. And here are the visuals where vehicles there are stranded. Water that's literally drowning most of those cars that are parked at Noida's Ecotech. I'm going to leave you with that.